Hello and welcome to Hexed Encountered. My name is Joe. Today I'm going to be doing something new. I haven't done this before. It's kind of a news segment, somewhat of an upcoming look at things that are going on in wargaming. This is a wargame focused one. I'll probably do some sports related stuff very, very soon. So for the sports guys out there, hang tight. I am getting ready to do some sports stuff. But back to the matter at hand, we are going to be... I am going to be looking at some of the things that are going on in wargaming. Like I said, some Kickstarter projects, etc., that you can, look at, consider backing, and so on and so forth. So that's going to be the focus of this video. And depending on how it goes and, how the news stuff goes on as we move forward in time, I may do more of these. So this is kind of a trial run. We'll see how it goes. If it seems like it's worthwhile and people are interested in this, then I would be certainly willing to do it again on a regular basis. So let's start off and take a look at Kickstarter. And so this first Kickstarter project I'm going to look at is 85 Afghanistan Graveyard of Empires, a squad battles game. This is from Mark H. Walker's Flying Pig Games. It is the second game in the squad battle series, the first one being 65 squad level combat in the jungles of Vietnam. So this one has 3 days to go. So, it ends on Wednesday, March 22nd at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So it would be a good idea if you're interested in this game to jump in and back it if you have not already. It's extremely close to hitting another stretch goal. So I did back this game. I was backer number 3. I tried to get there was a way you could get it for $1 if you were one of the first 1 or 2 backers. I was backer number 3. So while that was frustrating, I am very happy to back this game. I have 65. I also have Knight of Man, which uses the same system, and I really enjoy this game. So as I mentioned, this one has 3 days left to go. And, you can go through and read. I'll put the links in the description for the video for all of these that I'm going to talk about. There's a lot of good stuff here. I've kind of cropped out. Look at that. That's my video right there. Thanks, Mark. Here are the stretch goals that have been unlocked. You get linen-backed playing cards. The Graveyard of Empires mouse pad has been unlocked. Bonus victory condition cards unlocked. And at 34,000, there's an additional scenario. At 40,000, a hypothetical armored battle. So that would be kind of nice. As it says there, they've got T-55s, T-62A, BMP-1s, BTRs, etc. Let's have a big, super cool armored battle. That would be at 40,000. And then, you get 9 additional action cards, a heavily wooded board to reflect some of the non-mountainous terrain in as it says, rough semi-desert terrain or mountainous. That's kind of what most people view as being Afghanistan, but obviously it's a large country with a very varied topography. And you could even get, if it got to 200,000, you could get the U.S. openly intervening in the war. This is one that I'm interested in, the Alone in the Mountains, the solitaire expansion for the game, which follows the Alone in the Jungle from 65 and Alone Against Aliens from Knight of Man. So as I mentioned, I'm a big fan of this series, really looking forward to this game. And, you should definitely consider jumping in and backing this if you like squad level tactical games. This is a really fun system, and I really enjoy it. And moving on, we've got Fortress Games has a Kickstarter going for a second edition of both of their World War II Air Force games. 8th Air Force, which covers the strategic bombing campaign against Germany, and 20th Air Force, which does the same with the strategic bombing campaign against Japan. This one has 4 days left. It is you can buy either or both of the games. If you have the original versions, which I do, you could actually back it and get the updated version for a little bit less money. You just have to prove that you're an owner of the original games. So as you can see, this is a These are both solitaire games. I should mention that, and they, as you might expect, they cover both the strategic campaigns in Europe and the Pacific. And as you can see here, there's a really good description of everything that you get in the new edition. It starts with the 8th Air Force Second Edition, which is the one over Europe. So you get new artwork with examples. You can see that the counters are improved. The target counters are improved. Some of the board artwork is improved. There's an example of play. You get new player aids that are laid out in a little bit different way from the original. Your CRTs and other tables. New manual with more and new graphics. A full bombing mission walkthrough. And a game setup for starting off, etc. So this is an interesting one because I've played 20th Air Force. I haven't really played 8th Air Force yet, but 20th Air Force is fun. I'd like to do a video on it at some point. I may wait to get the second edition before doing so. Oops, I did not mean to go that far down, but here's 20th Air Force, which again covers the campaign against Japan. It also has the same kind of rundown. Obviously, the difference with the 20th Air Force versus the 8th Air Force is you also have the possibility of developing the atomic bomb and then employing the atomic bomb, and you can have ahistorical outcomes where the bomb doesn't work, etc., which would then necessitate the actual invasion of Japan, which was proven to be unnecessary after the deployment of the atomic bombs at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And again, it's the same things that we saw in 8th Air Force, but laid out with the 20th Air Force graphics, etc. Here's your research box that I kind of mentioned, where you have the atom bomb research. And so you can develop that. It does have some of the famous planes and so on in there, the Enola Gay, etc., that dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. New manual, etc., etc. So there's a lot of info and a lot of graphics, and this campaign is really well laid out in terms of providing you all the information you might need to make a decision. So again, if you're interested in, either of these two games, they're both games, as I meant, they're both good games rather, as I mentioned. This is a solitaire series. So there are two solitaire games, one covering Europe, one covering Japan. Definitely worth checking out if you are interested in either or both of those campaigns. We're shifting gears and heading over to GameFound, and on GameFound you'll have a campaign for a game called The Hunt by Salt and Pepper. I'm sorry. I was going to push it. September 1939. This is basically the hunt for the Graf Spee. So you have British ships trying to take down the Admiral Graf Spee, the commerce raider, the German commerce raider that was wreaking some havoc in the South Atlantic at the very beginning of the Second World War. So there are some good videos on this, not by me, but by some of the other content creators in the war game area that have done some videos on this. There is also a trailer here. Again, I'm going to provide links for all of these so you can go in and check them out. Here is some information on it. It's a naval duel. It's a 2-player game. So it's relatively low complexity. Not simple, but low complexity, where you can pick it up and play it. It's a relatively quick playing game, 20 to 45 minutes. These are the guys who made Watergate, Lancaster, and Weimar Republic. As you can see, what's in the box. I love the graphics in this campaign and in the game itself. From what I've seen, I have not seen this game in person, but it looks really cool, and I'm definitely interested in picking it up. The English edition is 23 euros. So probably about $25, depending on the exchange rate when it gets charged. So you see what you get: a board, 36 cards, 18 for each side. Some ship markers, force markers. There's the Graf Spee and the alt mark. etc. Good job of showing exactly what you're getting in the box when you get it. See, Zilla Blitz did a nice whole series on this game. He's got a video right here. Definitely check that out. His stuff is always really good. Space Biff, another great reviewer. If you have not read any of his stuff, he's a really talented writer and reviews an insane amount of games. I'm not sure where he finds the time, but he does an excellent job. And then the Player's Aid, big fan of the Player's Aid. They have a video on this as well. Those guys do an awesome job as usual. Cardboard Conflicts, Gimpy Gamer, another personal favorite of mine. He also has a video on here. Then you have your how to play, goes through and tells you about, how the game works in, kind of a high level manner. And how, victory conditions, et cetera, turn sequence, how the German turn works, how the redraw phase, British player turn, et cetera, So another really well done campaign that explains how all of, how this game works. Salt and Pepper Games is a small publisher. It tells you about the company. And so on and so forth. And, I don't want you to think that I was making fun of their name or anything at the beginning. It was just the way my Jersey accent pronounced Salt and Pepper. Came out Salt and Pepper, which made me think of the R&B hip-hop group. But that's, I was totally not making fun of them. These guys do a great job. They produce some great games, and this one looks like another winner. So you can see what you get. They have various editions: English, Spanish, Czech, French, Hungarian. And then they have, for stores, you can buy multiples, et cetera. There's Canadian, Australia, shipping, all that stuff. So you can see they'll send this anywhere in the world almost. And again, some quotes from, as I mentioned, some really, really talented content creators. Zilla Blitz, Space Biff, Gimpy Gamer, etc. And then you can even download the rules and check them out to see if this is for you. So that is The Hunt from Salt and Pepper Games. Make sure I pronounce it correctly that time. And so now we'll move on. And next up will be Interceptor Ace Volume 2, Last Days of the Luftwaffe, 1944 to 45. This is a sequel to Gregory M. Smith's Interceptor Ace. This one's designed by Fernando Solaramos, who does a lot of great stuff, with various games and adapting and improving upon things and making expansions. And obviously he does his own stuff as well. This is from Compass. This has 7 days left. I actually backed this or, pre-ordered it on the Compass site, so I'm not backing this Kickstarter campaign because I've already placed a pledge on their site to buy it. I do have the original game. This is another solitaire game where you basically play the role of a German fighter pilot, basically, whose job it is to take on the 8th Air Force and their bombing campaign in the Second World War. Kind of a flip side to the 8th Air Force game we saw a few minutes ago. So this one's got a week left. Definitely probably worth checking out. It, as I mentioned, it's a solitaire game, medium complexity. The playing time, 15 minutes to 4 hours. It really depends on how many missions you take. You can see you can pre-order it here through Kickstarter for $65. It's going to retail at $89. Tells you what's in the box, etc. If you've played Night Fighter Ace or Interceptor Ace, or even any of the other Gregory M. Smith games, the Hunters, American Tank Ace, things like that, he's got a pretty consistent look to his games as far as, you get your decorations and you have crew status and stuff like that. This is sort of in a similar vein. You can see this is an aircraft mat. Again, if you played like American Tank Ace, this would be similar to your tank mat. But this is obviously a Messerschmitt Bf110G-2. It's very, very specific, going down into the, which variant of the aircraft it is. How the games work. There's a nice description here. The bump, the Bf109G-14. You'll get information here in your sequence of play, the incoming raid, you roll for weather, you move from the hangar to takeoff, etc. Again, these are this is more of a narrative game and very much in the vein of obviously Gregory Smith's work, because Gregory Smith did the first version and this is the sequel to it. So if you are a fan of Gregory Smith's games of that nature, even things like Target for Today, Target for Tonight, from Legion, which is kind of the same thing, but from the other side of the fight. You know, you're basically part of the bomber stream. Target for Today being 8th Air Force, U.S. Army Air Force, and Target for Tonight being the RAF, the Royal Air Force, doing their night raids. This is very much in the same vein as that. It's just on the defensive side. You're fighting for the Luftwaffe instead. So this one has a week to go, and here you can see, I forgot to mention the Defending America and the what is the other? It's the America Bomber is the other side of that. Also, those are both done by Gregory Smith. These are all Gregory Smith games, and you can buy them as add-ons for a slight discount over what you would pay regularly, and you get some more information, and then we get down to other things that we either have already talked about or will be talking about momentarily. Okay, shifting gears a little bit. This one is a computer game. So this is the SGS Battle Series, and it's Battle for Stalingrad. This one has 8 days left. As you can see, it did reach its pledge goal. It has 93 backers currently as I'm doing this. I backed this personally. I've played most of their games, not all of them. You will probably, if you watch my channel, you will probably see more videos on SGS games, because I do have some that I have not, played for video yet. But this one, obviously, you can see, if you look here, you have SGS Battle Series Stalingrad, but on the other side, you have SGS Battle Series Madrid, and that would be Spanish Civil War. And so you can, if you scroll down, it's on Steam. They have their own website, obviously. Here's the Steam. It's the Steam version. It's a kind of a screen cap here. Available 11 July 2023. So that's a few months out. And so with this battle series, you can, they've done a lot of things on various battles, various time periods, various battles. I've played the Pacific D-Day series, most of those games. You have the basic, you have Iwo Jima and Saipan and Tinian and so on and so forth. These are all designed by Philippe Thibault, who was the creator of Agiad, which, if you have not played any of their games, Europa Universalis is mentioned there as well. So he did the original, the first game, before he moved on to his own studio. They did a lot of different games, and I have many of them and have played them. Revolution Under Siege might be my favorite. That one's on the Russian Civil War. But yeah, he's got a lot of games under his belt. He's a very good war game developer or strategy game developer. And so this series is a good one. You can see that you get a bunch of different options as far as what you can buy. If we scroll down the support column, I chose this early bird captain one where you get Stalingrad, WWII, and Madrid. And you also get an extra key for a friend and access to the private beta, etc., etc. There are other options, though, as you can see, and they all have kind of ranks and so on and so forth. But here you go, SGS Battle 4, explains the system, what it is, etc. You can also look at some of the other games on Steam. Here's the timeline for when they expect these games to come out. So you're going to get Stalingrad, WWII, and Madrid. If depending on what you pledge, you can get all 3 of those games. And then you have other ones that are kind of down the line. This is the plan currently. So you can see they go, you have a lot of variations in time periods. We have Civil War. We have Dien Bien Phu. In the 50s, you have Verdun and Gallipoli from World War I. Arnhem, Casino, World War II. You have Peking at the turn of the 19th to 20th century. Warsaw from the Eastern Front of World War II. Toulon, Sebastopol. So the Siege of Malta in 1565, ancient battle for Jerusalem. Sadr City, Grozny, Paris, Berlin, Budapest, more. So there's a whole, they have a very long long-term plan for where this series is going. Here's some screenshots. If you've played any of the other games, these screenshots are pretty similar to what you would see in some of the other ones. Stalingrad is always an interesting topic for Wargame. If you've watched my channel recently, you know I did a video on the new Stalingrad game, Advance to the Volga. Very, very good, excellent solitaire game. Really love that game. Here's a look at WWII, a look at Madrid, and then Fort Donelson down the road. The early bird stuff, there's all kinds of things. So, and then you get a breakdown of what you get for all your various levels of pledging, etc. So, and this is from Avalon Digital. That's the publisher. And Carrier Battles, that's one I have. Britannia, that's one I do not have at the moment, but I am going to be getting it. Steam does have a sale going on right now, the spring sale. So there are a lot of, see, here's some of their other games that you can choose as an add-on. Carrier Battles, Fleet Commander Pacific, Halls of Montezuma, Korean War, Winter War. There's a whole bunch of them. So that will wrap it for this. As I mentioned, or as I started to mention before I got sidetracked, we do have the Steam spring sale going on right now. Many war games are a part of that, damn it. Sorry about that, but my mouse went a little too far down. So yeah, check that out on Steam, or check this out here on Kickstarter. And then we're going to move on. We've got a couple more, 2-3 more things to do here. And here we have A Song for War, Mediterranean Theater. This is a really interesting game as well. It's got 10 days left in its campaign. So this is in Vector Rex Games. This is pretty much covers like North Africa and the invasion of Southern Europe. So Italy, Sicily, Greece, things like that. Starts in November of 42. Operation Torch. Right, it's a 2 to 4 player game. Another one that Zilla Blitz was lucky enough to get his mitts on early, so he could do some stuff on it. And like I said, he always does a great job. So always good, always happy to watch and read things from him. Here are things about the game board, the player aid cards, support cards, etc., etc. Some of the other info here, things you're getting in the box, some plastic unit pieces, including that cool Gustav railgun. Some wooden components. Pretty cool, over 500 pieces. The objective tiles, you get things about how the game works, etc., etc. Armchair Dragoons did something on the game as well. Another great content creator, gameplay stuff, little animated GIF and etc. in here. Simultaneous action. You have hidden fleets. That's this is probably a game that's a little bit harder to solo. It is a multiplayer game, as I mentioned, so you can kind of sneak things around. You get some strategic surprise that way. You can do things like I mentioned that's kind of ahistorical, like you can invade Greece if you wanted to. This is just a really interesting game, and the videos I've watched of it, I mean, the components, the artwork, all that stuff looks really cool, and it just looks like this is going to be a really good game. And as I mentioned, Zilla Blitz did some stuff on this, so if you do want to see that, you can find him on YouTube. So you can see there's a lot of info here as well. The Discriminating Gamer, he did a piece on it. There's a video there's a couple videos here from Zilla Blitz. There was an interview with the guys at the Player's Aid, a Wargamers Needful Things review, etc., etc. I need to get in on some of this stuff. I feel like I'm missing out, but I am still the new kid on the block, so to speak. So maybe someday I'll be able to to do cool things like those guys do. Stretch goals, help them reach some of their stress goals, shipping info, etc., etc. They must be an East Coast company, because the East Coast gets $3 less for shipping than someone like me who lives in Ohio. And then you have European shipping as well at the bottom, and so on and so forth. So again, another interesting game to check out. Hopefully this one is successful enough that they do some more, make this a series. There are obviously other theaters that could be covered. So let's move on. We've got one more Kickstarter campaign that's underway, and then I want to talk about one that's coming up in a couple days. So here we have the latest of the Dan Versen Games Leader series. This is Flying Tigers Leader. So this is pretty much kind of in the vein of Corsair Leader, Zero Leader, the upcoming Stuka Leader, World War II era combat, air combat, obviously. This one covers the Flying Tigers. If you're not familiar with the Flying Tigers, you might not be watching this video. But the Flying Tigers were volunteers. Claire Chennault, who was an American, was the commander. They flew for the Republic of China during the Second World War, prior to U.S. entry. Once Pearl Harbor happened and the U.S. was involved, most of those people ended up back in the U.S. Army Air Force. So DVG, obviously, they've got a whole slew of leader games. This one is probably going to be very much in the same vein as your Corsair Leader / Zero Leader. In fact, I believe in here somewhere it mentions that originally this was projected as kind of an expansion for Corsair Leader, but was then spun into a full-fledged game of its own. So you can see that Russ Lance, the designer, and here's where it says that he came up with the idea about 2 years ago after purchasing Corsair and Zero, and his idea was to make it an expansion for Corsair, but Dan convinced him to make it a core game. So you get info on how the game plays. The cards, the card art on these games is always pretty cool. I like they all had the tiger, the shark kind of teeth at the front of the plane, or tiger teeth. I don't know which it is. Probably tigers, given that they were the Flying Tigers. But you have the Chinese Air Force emblem on the side, on the wings, etc. It was a P-40. Kitty Hawk, which wasn't one of the better American fighters of the war. So these guys were fighting, aircraft in general that were probably outclassing them, but they fought the good fight, so to speak. So here we have our components. This is a game that's going to have an MSRP of $110. You can get it for $75 if you back it. As I mentioned, I think this game has about 10 days left to run. As far as the Kickstarter campaign, you see what you get in the base game. A lot of counters and dice. And when they say a lot of counters, they mean a lot of counters. Typically, these Dan Versen Games Leader Series games come with a lot of counters. So you have your target cards. There's cards involved as well. I've done videos on leader games. If you're interested in seeing what a leader game looks like, I've done some. I think I've done 3 or 4 different leader games. So you can poke around and find those pretty easily. And then as is typical these days with the leader games, there are a bunch of different expansions you can buy as well as part of the Kickstarter. And you save $5 on each one that you would over its MSRP. So you have the Japan Ascendant, fighting Kiwis. New Zealand and Australia, the Anzac forces tend to get short shrift a lot of times in war games about the Pacific. So this is, a moment in the sun for those guys, with the fighting Kiwis and Kiwis Resurgent. Then you have Reversing the Tide. This is when they got disbanded. They were disbanded, and a new foe, the 23rd Fighter Group. So those guys, this is talking about when they went back and started flying under the U.S. flag again. The final defeat of the Imperial Dragon, about the end of the war. Hollywood's treatment of it. and you can buy some bomber decks, which would bring in the B-24, B-29, and B-17. Fighter deck, which brings in the P-38, the I-15. That's a Russian plane, if you're unfamiliar. And the Spitfire. And some info on your creative team. Your designer, the graphic designer, Vladimir Dudas, he does good work. Big fan of his stuff. Ben Rawlings as well. They do the team that they have at DVG that churns out this stuff. They do a good job. Now there's sometimes errors and things, and people jump all over that. But in general, I have been more than pleased with Dan Versen Games and the Leader Series in general. So you have some stretch goals that have been met up to 35,000. 40,000 will get you an Indochina campaign. 45, you'll get pilots from the 2nd Squadron of the AVG. And then you get some add-on stuff that you can always add in as well. So pretty standard stuff. There's only 3 days to go. For some reason, I thought there was more. There are 3 days left in this campaign. So if you are interested in more World War II air leader goodness, definitely consider jumping in and picking up Flying Tiger's Leader. So now I want to talk about something that actually has not started yet, but will be starting on March 21st, which, as I'm doing this, is just a couple days away. This is from Princeps Games, and they make they've got a couple games out. Freezing Inferno is one that's coming out this year. That one was on Kickstarter not too long ago. Then they have March on Nadrina, which is a World War I game that they already have out and in production, and you can actually get those as add-ons for this upcoming one. And then what you can see here is the top of what is a pretty cool looking dice tower. So this is a dice tower, as I mentioned. So this one is called the Ultimate World War II Dice Tower, and what you have is a P-51 Mustang attacking a King Tiger tank. So as we scroll through some of the photos that the guys at Princeps Games were nice enough to send along to me, you can see the entry point for your dice is in the back, in the kind of the smoke from the explosion that the Mustang is destroying this King Tiger. And the output is the tank itself is where the dice will come out. They'll land in the mud or whatever right here at the feet, at the front of the tank. You get some different looks here. The detail on the aircraft, detail on the tank, etc. Some different pictures. To me, this looks really cool. And so the way this Kickstarter is going to work, and again, it starts in a couple days, but what it's going to have is you can buy basically the files so that you can 3D print this yourself and then paint it. So if you're into miniatures or you just want a really cool dice tower and you're artsy enough to be able to paint this in a cool way, then you can obviously opt to do that. They also have, I think, a dozen or so backers will be able to actually buy one that they're going to print themselves and paint, and that one's going to be obviously more money, but this looks really cool to me. So I did want to kind of highlight this. You can see the detail is really cool, and again, you're going to get 3D printer files, and I think it comes in several pieces, and then you kind of piece it together after you paint it. But if you're into tabletop games and you like doing miniature type stuff, I think this would be something that would satisfy you on a couple different accounts. The game there they're showing you, that's Freezing Inferno, that they're playing with this dice tower. So this is Freezing Inferno. Again, that's a game that's coming out later this year, I think. I hope. I backed it, so I hope I get my hands on it this year. But that's their game on the Russian Soviet-Finnish War, the war, the first part of that war, not the continuation war, the 1939 to 40 war. So you get a good sense of the detail here. This is a really cool looking dice tower, in my opinion. So again, look for that on Kickstarter on March 21st. And, if you're interested in, definitely consider backing it. This looks really cool to me. So that's going to wrap it up. This went a lot longer than I thought it would. I was like, it'll take 15 minutes, but I like to ramble, and I probably showed more detail than you might need, because you can always pop on Kickstarter yourself and take a look at this stuff. But, like I said, this was a trial run for me, so feel free to say, hey, Joe, you talk too much, and, leave a comment and let me know that I should be a little less wordy. But for now, that's going to wrap it up. So thank you for watching. As always, I appreciate it. You know the whole drill. Like, share, subscribe, etc. Definitely appreciate the support if you do so. If you're already a subscriber, thanks. That is definitely appreciated. So until next time, my name is Joe. This has been Hexed Encountered. And as always, happy gaming.